Hey, FanboyNation.
This is your pal Daffy Duck, and you're watching.
You're watching.
We're watching. You're watching Fanboy.
Fanboy. Fanboy.
Fanboy.
Fanboy.
A fanboy, etc.
FanboyNation.
Dot, I assume Tom.
If you had grown up in the 1970s, especially between 72 and 77, Sid and Marty Krofft ruled your childhood, especially with a show called New Zoo Revue. Today, we get to celebrate the 53rd anniversary with Doug Momary and Emily Peden, now also Momary after X amount of years, which they'll fill us in on that. Congratulations on celebrating over 196 episodes.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
There's a part of me when I see 196, I sit there and go, couldn't you just give them the extra 4 to make it an even 200?
Oh, I wish we could have, but they stopped production right after 196.
Yeah. It's like, just give them the extra 4. We want that even 200.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
That would have been nice. I never thought about that before, but that would have been very nice.
It's like when you're on Jeopardy, when you lose by 5 points versus when you lose by 1,000 points. Like
Exactly.
One is a little more bitter than the other.
Well, I wanted to, I heard your introduction. Thank you for that. Just wanted to clear up one thing. We were not a Sid and Marty Krofft production, believe it or not.
I'm sorry. The way I read the way I was informed that it was Sid and Marty Krofft, but
it's a lot of people think that. But what they did is they actually constructed the costumes that I designed. And so we worked closely with them, but their function was to build Henrietta, Charlie, and Freddie. And they did a great job.
Well, thank you so much.
It was quite an honor. It was an honor for us to work with them.
Well, so you two have been married for quite a while now. We're celebrating
Yes.
the 53rd anniversary of the show. Did you meet on the series or were you together prior to? Like, how did the relationship develop, especially with New Zoo Revue?
Actually met in summer stock before the show, before anything had ever happened with the show. And we just fell in love, and Doug had this opportunity for the show, and we were planning our wedding here in Dallas. So we got married in Dallas and didn't get a honeymoon because we immediately flew back to start production on the pilot. So it was kind of a whirlwind. But it's been wonderful. It's been quite a journey, and we're very grateful for 54 years that we've had together.
Yeah, but I initially created it before we got married. So I came to Emily and said, "Hey, you want to be on a kids show?"
And I said yes.
And so we, I was able to create that before we actually got married.
Yeah.
And I sketched out the sets and the costumes and created the characters, and it's
been quite an adventure.
Yeah.
So what you're telling us is that New Zoo Revue was the wife and Emily was the mistress because she came along after.
Well, you could put it that way.
Yeah. But I love you guys' energy and how you guys are still excited to be even seated next to each other after 54 years.
Well, we are, because the one thing you have to do when you're together is laugh and just have grace for each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
And never give up. Never give up. Always forgive. And it works out really well. And it's a gift.
the 70s had such interesting times, especially with kid shows. I mean, Sesame Street started, I think, in 69. Your guys' show in 72, Electric Company. There was so much going on that was part of children's entertainment that led us into the 80s, where every cartoon became a half-hour commercial for a toy. And then into the 90s, where everything turned into a half-hour commercial for Pfizer and Moderna. So it was selling medication.
That's true. Never thought about that either.
Well, Bill Clinton was the one that lifted that restriction of advertising medication on television. So,
and I might add, I think we're the only country that allows that.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So he banned selling toy advertisements to children, in the 90s, but allowed medication advertisement on television instead. So, everyone has something weird that goes along with what they do. Take us through that
Yeah.
time period of children's television in the 70s. Your show was syndicated, and the other two I mentioned were on PBS. What's it like being part of that connection where you could sit there and it was like there was, New Zoo Revue, Electric Company, Sesame Street. I think Pinwheel came out in late 70s, and so many other shows that were focused on educating children.
Yeah, we wanted to take a little different tact. RC, some of those other shows were concentrating on ABC 1, 2, 3, that kind of information, that kind of education for kids. But Emily and I, we wanted to do something that was relational. How do you relate to your mom, your dad, your friends at school, your relatives? And ours was more of a relational show, and that's why it was actually a musical comedy for kids. And I wanted to write it in a sophisticated manner. And if you listen to the music and hear the dialogue, I mean, there were some funny lines, but everybody got involved with the characters. Like, oh, Freddie shouldn't do that. He should tell the truth. And that kind of thing was how we educated. And I don't know if you call it educating, but it got through. It really did.
Well, emotional intelligence
don't
is the
ever
type of
remember.
education.
I don't ever remember either one of us really talking a lot about the other shows. Everything on New Zoo spilled out of his heart and soul. He's, from the day I met him to right now, he's constantly creating, and it just was inside him, and it just spilled out of him. It's his, what you see on that show is his heart and soul.
When you do I'm sorry, go ahead, Doug.
No, I take that compliment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, emotional intelligence is something that's important because if we remember the 60s and 70s, this is at least from what I studied about them. This was also the time where the nuclear family was splitting up and not being, centralized anymore. People were starting to get divorces. Like the D word became very, a part of society. And people didn't have that basis of, how to treat grandma, how to treat our dad, what happens when we're living in two separate homes. And your show kind of allowed an emotional education that was being lackadaisical when key parties kind of became the nouveau riche.
You're bringing up things in this interview that honestly, like the Pfizer thing, I'd never ever thought about that. And I never thought about this connection with the nuclear family, but come to think of it, we get so many comments from our New Zoo kids, and they are New Zoo kids. We love them intensely, not as fans, but as family. And some of them have had difficult childhoods, and our show was a comfort to them, and they just couldn't wait to watch us. And we gave them some stability that was lacking in their own family. So I think you're right about that.
And when we go to these Comic-Cons and things where we meet our New Zoo kids, they come up to us, and we've had guys come up and cry and say, you were my mom and dad. I wish you were my aunt and uncle. And that really touched our heart, I'll tell you.
One of the ones that really, I hope I get to see him again someday. It was at a Comic-Con back east, and he came over, and he just is a real tough looking guy, big, muscular and all. And he just was in tears, and he said, I just want you to know I'm not in prison today because of you.
That's pretty heavy.
And we just had a big hug. And honestly, meeting these kids that have now grown up, it's like a family reunion. It's something that I could never have imagined, because when we were doing the show, we didn't have any idea that it was impacting anybody at all, because I didn't get out much to meet the fans and the people that were watching, and Doug did more than I did, but it was just something we did, and we loved it and enjoyed it, and then we kind of put it away and went on to different phases of our life. And then our daughter, our precious Joanna, decided it was time to have a Facebook page. And that's when everything changed.
Yeah.
And we're meeting people that are, they're all just wonderful. Every career that you can imagine. They're making contributions in their communities, impacting their grandchildren, most of them. It's wonderful. So a real blessing to us.
Well, really, we kind of forgot about the show for almost 50 years. I was doing other things. I was had my own production company in Las Vegas, and I was directing and producing all kinds of stuff. And Emmy Jo was doing the books for the company, but also raising the family.
I went back to school. I got my master's degree in marriage and family counseling, and just that was our life.
Yeah. And here we are.
Yeah.
And here we are 53 years
Here
later
we
talking
are.
about the series. Is there a hopes for a
it's amazing.
revitalization?
What?
Is there a hopes for a revitalization?
Well, we love to do that, and of course, it all takes money, and but we have visions of getting the show back on.
Well, I'm excited. I just probably shouldn't interrupt. Maybe you don't even want me to interrupt.
Yes,
but I'm very excited about Doug's got a new show.
Well, fill us in on what the new show is.
It is going to be the same format as New Zoo, with 3 songs, a great theme song. And tell them what it's about. It's very needed. It's very, very needed right now.
It's about the internet and kids, how kids dealing with online bullying, etc. And I just feel that there's a need for a show that addresses that in a way that's personal, that says, "Hey, don't do that." Basically,
we have 11 grandchildren, and we are very sensitive to what's going on in that area and the struggles that our children are having managing these phones.
Well, yeah, phones and social media, that can be such a detriment to kids. I mean, it's a good thing in a way for the information, but boy, it can be very, very negative for kids.
Right. Well, hopefully that becomes a huge success for you. Would you think of doing something like that mixed in with New Zoo as like a stage performance? Like bring back New Zoo as kind of like a theatrical thing?
Yeah, I mean, we would love to do that. I've written a stage play for New Zoo. We just, again, we're looking for financing to get that done. But yeah, we would love to just continue and go forward with new things, new Zoo Revue, and my other show, which is we just love to do that.
Can you share the name of the new show, or is that still in the works?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's the name of your new show, honey?
Well, what is the name of my new show?
It's Knights, Guardians of the IT.
Yeah. It's called Knights of IT, Guardians of the Digital Realm.
Ooh, I like that.
So it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun.
I like that. That sounds a lot of fun.
Yeah, the characters, get inside. Actually, the whole thing takes place inside the computer. And so it's kind of a fun adventure where we teach kids about the inside the computer, and that you can use the inside for good or bad.
Now, this also begs the question, so you have 11 grandchildren. Hopefully it's more than the one daughter that created the Facebook page, because that'd just keep her way too busy.
Yeah, no, we have 3 kids.
Okay.
We have Joanna is our oldest child. She's got 3 grown boys. Then our middle child, our daughter, lives in Colorado. She's got 3 kids. And then our son, who lives just south of us, has 5 boys. So ranging in age from how old is
15 to
3 to 15.
You're keeping that Momary name alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did they go into the arts as well with the creative aspect, or did one of them go, you know what, I need to be the accountant. One of us needs to be the responsible one.
Well, actually, if you're our children are all very artistic. They're not totally in the arts. Our son does website design in Dallas and has a very, very successful company called Deep Space Robots. And our daughter in Colorado, she and her husband actually, they shepherd some house churches in the Colorado Springs area, but she has just started a little business because they have a few little, what do you call them, VRBOs. And she started kind of a decorating business, and they both sing. They're very musical. When they were here Christmas, they brought their instruments, and we had some bluegrass in our living room, which was wonderful. And then Joanna, who, has a very strong teaching background, she's intensely creative. I mean, you can see she does all of our social media. So yeah, they're all in the arts, either maybe peripherally, but we're real proud of them. The leaf doesn't fall very far from the tree.
Right. And then with your daughter being, housing small cell churches, I studied that when I was in graduate school, is that the cell church starts with a group of 6 Bible studies and then eventually expands out,
Yeah.
kind of like cell
And
multiplication for people that don't know the ideology behind it.
Well, they've planted 5 or 6 in Colorado Springs, and so we're real proud of them.
And she actually has just gotten involved. She's actually on the board of a prison ministry where they go into a women's prison and help these women who are maybe up for parole, maybe they're in for a long time, but many of them have lost their children because of their sentences. And they do not only Bible studies, but parenting classes, and have a halfway house. So these women, when they get out, they, like from what our daughter tells me, they teach them everything, even how to go to the grocery store, how to set up a checking account. And it's a wonderful program.
Wow.
And this all comes back to a lot of it comes back to our show. I mean, what we contributed, maybe unknowingly, but we're so thankful that it did have an impact, because maybe we changed some lives out there,
Well, I'm going to have to interview your daughter for that, because I don't know if Danny told you, I used to be a religious studies professor.
No, where?
I taught at a couple of colleges, and
Because Lori and actually our son Rob went to Wheaton College.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got my master's at Vanguard University, which is a far cry from my bachelor's degree at San Francisco State University. So I went from the far left extreme to the far right extreme, so I could figure out the balance of society from the two ends. Yeah.
Boy, are you schizophrenic now?
No, I am not schizophrenic, but when it comes to education, you need complete, polar opposite ideologies to come together and figure out your own. We can't have just this, red team versus blue team in the way politics has
No,
right, exactly.
It has to be policy based instead of team based, and so it's those understandings there. As you guys continue to work after all this time, because there are some people that will have their success or their one memorable thing and then just move on and, like I said, go become an accountant or something else. And you've managed to continue to create after all this time, and create a new show and create other projects and direct and draw and paint and become a marriage and family therapist. What's the exciting part of not only revisiting, New Zoo Revue, but what's coming next and everything that falls in between that? Because you've created a family, you have grandchildren, and everything that still is art related, but has continued forging forward. It's not just stuck between that 5-year period.
Well, I've enjoyed composing. I'm still very, very active composing other songs. I mean, I've got adult songs that are Christian based, and also that are just, secular songs that are really pretty cool. I mean, I'm, involved in a lot of the independent music scene, and I love doing that. And it's just a passion of mine, because all the songs I created for New Zoo, I'm finding that people actually, it applies today. I mean, I do a little segment every week on our Facebook page of songs that I composed 50 years ago. And I'm doing them just on my guitar. It's an acoustic thing, and songs from the 70s. And like I just did one this week that, or I'm going to do one this week called Love, Understanding, and You Belong Together. So, and I'm finding that I'm playing those on guitar, and there's hundreds of people that tune in and say, wow, this still applies today. So it's really very gratifying to me. And
Have
that's
you
why
thought
you
of,
can't, as an artist, as you know, you can't stop creating. You just can't.
it's like a shark. If you stop swimming, you'll sink.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Has
And you
there
know,
been,
I think
sorry, go ahead,
well,
Emily.
the lady that is actually heads up this prison ministry that Lori is involved in said, and I actually wrote it in my prayer journal because it impacted me so profoundly. She said, when I wake up in the morning, it is because you have given me life. I have the breath of life in me today. I don't know what tomorrow is, but today I'm going to do my best, make the world a better place. And that's kind of our philosophy. We have no idea what the future holds, but this is what God has put before us right now through our daughter. And it's extremely rewarding. We're meeting thousands upon thousands upon thousands of wonderful, wonderful people. We have no idea where it's going to lead, where our lives are going to lead. But as long as we're here, that's what we want to do. We want to serve.
And have you looked into also creating a children's ministry of art productions, whether it's animated features or other types of shows as well? You know,
I have another show.
He's got another one.
Doug's pitching everything today.
It's called Kid Schwartz and the Trackers, and it's a little five-minute graphic novel, and in it there's a Bible verse with every show. I'll send you a link to one of the. I've got 3 episodes already done.
And you got
I
to
love
send
it.
him the link to Cowboy.
Oh yeah.
We had a German, nobody over 65 should get a German Shepherd puppy. I did, and it was a mistake. But this dog grew to be 90 pounds and ended up being stolen by a trainer.
Wow.
And for a year and a half, I prayed for this dog. I said, Lord, you know where he is, you know who has them. And it turned, just to make a long story short, a year and a half later, somebody tried to change the microchip. And this woman in Arizona, her name is Susan, and she and I have become very, very close friends. And she had paid $4,000 for him. But that is, when you see this, what Doug's going to send you, that's the story of Cowboy.
Well, that's one of the episodes
Yeah.
that I created for Kid Schwartz and the Trackers.
I mean, I just could not believe it. After a year and a half, here's our dog. He was a service dog in Arizona.
Yeah,
That's like a Benji Come Home type movie at this point.
exactly.
It's my favorite episode. I can watch it many times.
It's only 5 minutes. So.
Well, I'm glad that you guys are keeping busy and everything's going, you know, your way. You own the rights to New Zoo Revue since it was in syndication, if I'm not mistaken?
I don't. I mean, you know, I was a young kid, and they said, "Hey, just sign here," and so, like a lot of entertainers back then, I signed on the dotted line because I wanted the opportunity to do the show, to to create. But as you know, the Lord would have it, I found the owner of the show, and he and I are now great friends, and he's allowing us to do what we want, and it's just really amazing that we've come full circle. You know.
That's fantastic. Good, because we don't want the rights lost to all of that, and hopefully it'll end up on some streaming service, or people like myself that like physical media would get to have like DVD versions of it or things of that sort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you see the DVD version in the back of Emily's head there.
Is that all 192 episodes, or is that just season
No,
one?
it's only 59.
Okay.
But it's still, you know, and it's out of production right now. But we're hoping to maybe get all of them on Prime Ticket. I've got 14 of the shows on Prime Ticket now because I was able to go back in and remaster and recolor it, and just make everything sparkle a little bit more. And I also put a closed caption on each episode, which helps with the lyrics and reading, and they're just fun to watch now.
Yeah.
Is
And he
is
just
there,
did a website. We have a new website too.
what's the website?
The new ZooRevue.com.
Starting a newsletter.
Yes.
Oh,
Emmy Jo's
fantastic.
newsletter.
Yeah.
There's
Is-
another one of, well, this was Doug and Joanna's ideas, and I wasn't sure about it, but I'm excited now. It's going to be a monthly newsletter.
Okay. Yeah. Is there one song that you two enjoy in particular that you'll still sing 53 years later? And is there a song that fans will come up to you and go, "This was my song," that just sticks out more so than any of the other ones?
Well, can I say the one song everybody comes to me with, and I've done it in these conventions, is the theme song. The actual,
Yeah.
I mean, that's been the most memorable, most played song. And then, when you're composing it, I had no idea it was going to still be popular after 50 years.
Yeah, it's
But-
amazing. It's amazing. It's just unbelievable that so many people remember it.
Yeah, and they come up and sing every lyric. They've memorized it even to this day. And I think people have said, "I lost my car keys and I don't remember my name, but I can remember your doggone song."
Well, they forgot their name, but they remember the lyrics. That's something to be excited about, at least.
It is. It is. I'm very thankful for that.
As things continue to progress and the excitement of revisiting the show now, when you go back and look at either the 56 episodes that you have behind you or the 14 that you've remastered, what sticks out to you as a performer looking back, and what sticks out to you as an audience member that's now 50 years removed, because you're not the same person you were at 22.
Mhm.
No, I can't dance anymore.
Yeah, me neither.
The knees won't let me. But what really, really excites me is that these shows still work.
Mhm.
I mean, the writing, we had gifted writers that took my story and wrote a wonderful musical for all of the shows. And I go back and say, wow, that really does work. And I can see why kids actually like it and identified with it. And so it's really been very gratifying to go back. Now I see some scenes and I say, oh, I wish I could take another take of that. You see little mistakes and stuff, but of course you can't go back and do it. But I remember, going back to the truck and saying, can I redo this? Nope. Can't do it. Don't have the budget. So there are things like that just happen,
Listen, it's been 53 years. I think we can forgive certain mistakes from production back then.
Yeah. But, I just admire the dancers
Oh my
and the
goodness.
voice talent we had. I mean, I can't tell you.
Brilliant. They're just brilliant.
They just brought everything to life. And it's so, I look back and say, how did they do the dance moves in those costumes? And it was just like magic, really. And our director, I couldn't be directing it and be on camera, but our director would like to do the whole song in one take. So, then they got exhausted, but they would do it. They would do every dance move, and Emily and I would be singing. They lip sync all that. They played the track back to the soundstage, and we were lip syncing all the songs.
Mhm.
Then the audio guy had to crossfade to live audio, and so it was really amazing because we didn't do any overdubs, we didn't do any fixing or anything. It was just live television, really.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you have fond memories. I'm glad your audience had fond memories. What would you like to tell the Zoo kids that are adults now showing it to their grandchildren? And then, the new audience that are discovering the show, what would you like them to receive the message of New Zoo Revue?
Well, I hope if they sit their grandchildren down to watch the show, I hope what they get from it is kindness.
Mhm.
I hope they come away with, gosh, I want to treat my friends at school just the way I want to treat them, just the way I want to be treated. I just hope that it's an encouragement to make children more sensitive to others, more tender.
Yeah.
It's about that. Our show is about kindness.
Yeah. And tolerance, really. I mean, you know, you have Charlie the Owl losing his temper, and then he comes back and says, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And, you know, Henrietta goes off on a tantrum, but she comes back and says, oh, I shouldn't have treated you like that.
Mhm.
You know, and Freddie is just going off, wanting to fight somebody at school. And then he discovers, oh, wait, fighting is not the answer.
Not the answer.
And so all these little things, we do hope that the kids today will identify with.
Mhm.
And I know that our big kids, our Zoo kids that are grown up now,
Yeah.
they still identify with that.
And I know someone's going to get mad at me for not asking this sooner. Who has the costumes?
Well, three of them are in the garage.
Well, let me tell you, they were all destroyed in a fire in LA. And not the LA fire that's going on now,
Right.
but it was in Beacon's Van and Storage back, I mean, gosh, it must have been.
Everything burned up. My white boots burned up. Everything.
Yeah,
was gone.
the set, everything.
It's so
And
sad.
the costumes were burned as well. So years later, after I discovered who owned the rights to it, I had the costumes rebuilt by a company in Ohio, and meticulously rebuilt. But we didn't have the drawings, but we did have all of the video, you know, different views of that. And I think they replicated the costumes perfectly. And we've been out with the costumes, and nobody's said anything. They said, wow, they look great. They haven't aged a bit.
Well, listen, you keep them clean. That's all that matters.
Yeah, and we were really blessed because our voice talent and the dancers were all at the top of their profession. I'm telling you, for one thing, Sharon Baird, who was in the Charlie the Owl costume, I remember her from the Mickey Mouse Club. So I was kind of intimidated by Sharon because I looked up to her so much. And then Larry Thomas, who was in the Henrietta costume, was one of the top dancers in Hollywood. We've seen her in so many movies. And what she does in that costume, in her dances and her temper tantrums, it's flat out amazing.
Well, there's a lot to be said about that. I went to Knott's Berry Farm recently and saw the Snoopy 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, and someone's ice skating in a Snoopy costume. So, you know, there's a lot of talent out there that can put on these big costumes and either dance or ice skate.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, this begs the question. I know it might not, other than the Facebook page, which we want to plug, where can we find the two of you on social media? If there's like an Instagram or an X or Twitter or whatever they want to call it this week, you know, to connect with you and chat more about New Zoo Revue and future projects.
Well, you know, New Zoo is on X and we're on Instagram, and it's the same kind of link to all of them, and they can private message Emmy Jo or myself. And
I don't know if they can do that on Instagram, but on the Facebook page, there's a place where you can send a private message.
And also, we have another Facebook page that you might be interested in called
It's the New Zoo Revue Family Reunion. And this page, oh my goodness, Joanna's always, we just never know what she's going to come up with. And I love this. This is for our New Zoo kids. It's not so much for us, but it's for them. And they share pictures of their grandchildren, of their pets, whatever they want. That's their page. And then once a month, we have a birthday celebration, and Doug and I celebrate the birthdays
that they send in.
So it's tons of fun.
And I get my guitar and we sing happy birthday to them. So.
Well, I love it. And if I ever get a chance to come out to Dallas, we definitely need to get together.
Oh, I was going to invite you. I was planning to tell you
that
after the interview, but absolutely, if you're ever in the Dallas area, we want you to get in touch with us.
Take you out to the barbecue.
Oh, Dallas barbecue, you sold. Let's go. See you next week when the airport opens back up after the snow melts. Yeah. But
Yeah.
But Doug and Emily, thank you so much for chatting with me today about New Zoo Revue 53rd anniversary, REVUE, spelling it the old French way, and all the new projects that are coming about. I will link everybody in the description to the Facebook pages and the website. It's been a great pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you so much. You have a wonderful day.